Good deal. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining us for our webinar. The purpose of this webinar is what we hope goes beyond the computer screen and results in all of the attendees, especially those that have not been to Brooks, actually contact us after and book a tour and learn more, because it really makes a difference seeing the campus yourself. Before we start, I am Connie Gonzalez. I have the pleasure of serving as the Chief Strategy Officer with Brooks. I've been with the organization just over 7 years, and I'll introduce who's on the call and who you'll be hearing from. First and foremost, you'll be hearing from our President and CEO, Mr. Leo Gomez. Hola, Leo. And our Business Development Manager, Ana Gonzalez. Hi, Ana.
Hi.
I am scrolling through all of the attendees, and I see that we have some board members on the call. Our Brooks Gives Back board member and with economic development with Bexar County, David Marquez. Thank you for being here, David. We have our Brooks board member, Geraldine Garcia. Geraldine, thank you for being here. We also have board member Pat Hasu, who represents District 3, which Brooks, the City Council District 3, which Brooks is in. Thank you, Pat, for being here today. And we have our Chief Operating Officer, Ms. Samantha Burke. And so all of the technical questions, me and Leo are going to send them over to Samantha, right? All righty. Well, thank you all so much again for being here. We will get started. If you have questions throughout the presentation, if you can type them into the Q&A box at the end, and if we have time, we'll make sure to unmute you and you can answer those. If not, our Business Development Manager, Ana, will be helping us to make sure that we get all of your questions answered. If for some reason the discussion is just so fruitful and we don't get to your question, we'll make sure to follow up with you after the presentation. And so without further ado, we have our digital coordinator in the back, John. We can get started with the presentation, which is essentially what is Brooks? I think most of you all on the call know, but to reiterate the first slide, Brooks was a former Air Force base. The Air Force base closed down about 22 years ago, and the land was conveyed to us 21 years ago this summer. And so Brooks essentially inherited 1,308 acres. We were created as a Brooks Development Authority. We are just one of 3 development authorities across the state of Texas. And so we are a government entity and we are a public-private entity. What made us awesome as a Brooks Air Force Base, if you will, a little bit of the history. Our claim to fame really is during the JFK era. And so Brooks Air Force Base was responsible for the research to figure out how the human body, how the human brain was going to react when we got to space. During JFK era, it was all about the race to space. And so some of those famous monkeys, they were based here at Brooks. All of the astronauts for every single Apollo mission also had to get cleared here before they went to space. And JFK, his final act as President of the United States was here when he dedicated the School of Aerospace Medicine, which coincidentally now is the home of the School of Osteopathic Medicine with UIW. So that's a little about our rich history, but we date back all the way to 1917 as an Army base. Our evolution, if you will, of more than 100 years is now this mixed use concept. And so really when our current CEO came on board in 2013, he, along with the board of directors, took a look at that mission and vision, which was focused on being a research and technology park, and they revamped that to this mixed use concept. And so we're creating this mini city where you can do all things, live, work, learn, play, and stay. And that's the strategy to essentially attract businesses, to attract jobs. And so that's what we're here, jobs, but how we're doing it is focusing on quality of life where you can do all things. You're taking a look at the map on the screen. And so if you have not been here, I do challenge you to be here. I I frequently hear the perception that, oh my goodness, Brooks is so far away. The southeast side, how long is it going to take for me to get there? Well, in fact, we're only 10 minutes south of downtown, and I promise I was not speeding to make that 10 minutes. We're about 20 minutes from San Antonio International Airport, and both of those destinations are simply just a highway drive away. And so if you have not driven that, I challenge you to do so, and I promise I will win you over that. In fact, Brooks is not super far away from where you are, even if you're on the far north side. We are just super close to Stinson Municipal Airport. And so if you're one of those lucky ones that gets to fly into the general airport, you're less than a quarter mile away from Brooks in just a few minute drive. In addition, when you look at that map, you have higher education that we have great partnerships with Palo Alto College, Texas A&M, San Antonio. When we're attracting jobs, we need to make sure that those jobs, that those employers have a pipeline. And so the partnership with Palo Alto College and A&M San Antonio is extremely important. In addition, some of the other employers in our area, Holt Cat, Toyota, Port of San Antonio, Navistar, a lot of those employers we continue to partner with and hope that we even can attract businesses that may be of benefit to them. Next slide, please. So when we talk about quality of life, and that's what we're here for, how are we attracting jobs? How are we attracting businesses? By promoting the community that we're building. So you see a lot of words popping up on your screen, quality of life being the biggest, but then focused on community, establishing the community with high paying jobs, those that would help those in the surrounding neighborhoods. And I already mentioned the workforce pipeline that we're focused on. In addition to our community, when we're attracting businesses and organizations, we're making sure that they also want to be a part of and help grow this community. And so if you're from San Antonio, you know that we have several nonprofits doing absolutely incredible work for the youth, the families, and the seniors in the area. And so we're not just a development team. We have a nonprofit arm in making sure that the success, the prosperity that is being had here on the campus and those businesses within the campus are also helping the community and specifically the nonprofits doing great work. So that's what Brooks Gives Back is, a fundraiser, if you will, to be able to support the nonprofits doing great work within our immediate area. Next slide, please. This is an aerial shot of what our campus, the 1,308 acres, looked like in 2003. We are part of a tax increment reinvestment zone, a TIRZ, which includes our 1,300 acres and an additional 1,200 acres. So about 2,500 acres makes up our TIRZ. And if you were to have $37 million, you could have purchased that 2,500 acres. And if you were the most brilliant person in the world, you would have hired Leo, myself, Anna, and the rest of the staff that are on this call to do the amazing work that we're doing. And we have produced what is on the next slide. This next aerial is from 2021. We're about to take on a new aerial as we do every couple of years. And so if you were that brilliant person for $37 million in the Brooks team, you have now valued that land at $864 million. My goodness. Why didn't we think of that, Leo? Oh, because we don't have $37 million. That's why. If you could take a look at the map, and we'll go back to the 2003 map really quick, John. Take a look at the southeast portion, and you see the runway still, and you see a lot of vacant land. And then fast forward again to 2021, most of that's developed, and most of that area is where most of the employers that we have attracted, especially within the last 5 years or so, mostly light industrial manufacturing. And so that's a snapshot. And the valuation in 2021 was $864 million. Next slide, please. I mentioned you can do all things here: live, work, learn, play, and stay. And so making sure that we have quality housing, not just jobs. When you're looking at where you want to work, you want to be able to live close by. I don't think any of us strive to drive 30, 45 minutes or an hour plus, or enjoy that drive nonetheless. So live, quality housing. We started out our development with multifamily. We have 4 multifamily currently open, and they stay at 97% plus occupancy since they opened. And then we have single family for rent. We have single family for sale underway, and 2 more multifamily as well. So today we have 1,700 people living on the 1,308 acres. And with the projected 3 additional developments that are moving dirt today, we're projecting more than 3,300 people living just on the 1,308 acres. So again, today, 1,700 people living, and tomorrow we're projecting 3,300 people living at Brooks. Next slide, please. Our pipeline. This is a fun slide. So on your left, on that very first column, we're home to 3 high schools. Like Leo says, where else in San Antonio can you say across 1,300 acres, can you say that they have 3 high schools? And when we attracted those, making sure that they funnel in to the specific businesses that we have on campus. So we'll start off with Cass Med at the top. That is just a 9th through 12th grade high school. They're focused on all medical professions. And so if you want to be on the administrative side of hospitals or clinics, or if you actually want to be in the operating rooms, they have all of those. And a really exciting thing that they do is they make sure to learn their curriculum in both English and Spanish. And so recognizing the area that Brooks is on the southeast side of town, and most of those in the surrounding neighborhoods, or many of those, excuse me, do only speak Spanish. And so I think it's scary for us to hear words in the same language that we might not understand. Can you imagine hearing some of those terminologies in a language that you don't understand? And so them learning a bilingual curriculum is really awesome. So I like to say you can have your entire medical profession here at Brooks starting in high school, starting at Cass Med, which is part of the San Antonio Independent School District and Cass schools. Then you can go to graduate school at the University of Incarnate School of Osteopathic Medicine, and then just stay here forever, and you can work at Mission Trail Baptist Hospital and be a nurse or a doctor or work at the administrative side. Mission Trail Baptist Hospital today is still the largest employer with close to 700 employees in their hospital. Brooks Academy of Science and Engineering, they are a K through 12 STEM-based public charter school, and they are literally located in the sea of our light industrial park, surrounded by the employers that we hope those students are able to work for in the future. We also have Texas Fame, which is a part of Bexar County. They have been here for several years, but they will have their forever home, which is going to break ground in August. Again, shout out to David Marquez for working with us in the county and making that happen. So Texas Fame has several certification programs for various advanced manufacturing curriculums, one of those being for skilled maintenance technicians. And so between Toyota, Navistar, we have Mission Solar, Nisei, Cuisine Solutions. Skilled maintenance techs are definitely needed, and we don't have enough of them. And so we're grateful that Bexar County recognized that, and Texas Fame partnered with us to build that, what will be a $13 million facility with various upskilling and certification programs. Compass Rose they started out here as middle school and high school, and now they're expanding to add elementary. So there'll be another K through 12 IT entrepreneurship focused school. And so they can technically funnel into basically all of our employers, but we'll point out Oaken Process out of the Czech Republic. And we now have a Class A office building underway. I saw Russell Noel on the call, who is with Transwestern and helping us find some tenants for Water's Edge 1 and 2, which are 2 Class A office buildings. Next slide, please. We're building a city for the future. And so we recognize that San Antonio is taking the appropriate steps to adopt and have more choice riders with the Via Brooks Transit Center. And part of our vision is making sure that we had that partnership. And so this transit center opened in August 2019 and is now the 5th most used transit center across the city of San Antonio. And we hope that that just gets even more so. And especially with those of us on this call, choice riders. And so today we have 7 different routes, one of those being an express route to downtown. But again, we look forward to partnering with them and seeing how we can enhance this transit center, make it more convenient, add additional times and add additional routes for all of those people living and working on our campus. In addition, a new report just came out within the last couple of weeks, identifying Brooks and especially because we have this transit center here at Brooks as one of San Antonio's most walkable communities. And so that was definitely great news and worthy of celebration as we build out this community. Next slide, please. Play. So yes, we have to live. Yes, we have to work, but this is really what we're trying to achieve on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, right? So play. We were grateful that all along Southeast Military, most of that was healthily developed. We have our big box stores, the Walmart, the H-E-B, Target, Lowe's, Home Depot. And so now what we're focused on is more of the local high-end small businesses to attract to the campus. And that started off with Johnny Hernandez. He opened up La Gloria in the fall. And this is his newest location. He's open for lunch and for dinner, and was definitely jam-packed last week for National Margarita Day. And so we're hoping to attract, or having attracted La Gloria here, we're hoping that that results in many more local high-end types of restaurants here on the campus. In addition, play, we have a 43-acre park, the Green Line, and 2 years ago, we were able to connect that to the San Antonio River Mission Reach. And so in our 43-acre park, it's about 1.5 miles around, but it connects to more than 15 miles all along the Mission Reach, Museum Reach, and beyond, to the other trail systems across the city of San Antonio. And then finally, Hangar 9, that is a 105-year-old World War I Army hangar. It's all wooden, and it's special because it's the only one of its kind still standing in its original location. And so what was a place where Charles Lindbergh once parked his plane in the 50s and 60s turned into a museum. And in 2017, we invested more than $3 million into it and reopened it as an event venue. So luncheons, galas, exciting announcements, quinceañeras, whatever you want to celebrate. That's almost 9,000 square feet of event space in a historic facility. And stay. We are also home to the only full-service hotel south of downtown until you get to Corpus or McAllen. And while we're proud of that, we also recognize that we hope that that leads to more full-service hotels, because our region of San Antonio most certainly deserves it. And so we know that this was the first, but we sure hope that this is not the last. What makes the Embassy Suites at Brooks full service? Meeting space, conference space. It has an amazing spa where, in that picture that you're looking at, is the only salt cave in the San Antonio metro area. And Linda Salon is a small local business, and that's where I get my hair done. Sometimes I accidentally run into Leo also getting his hair done there. But she does all things men, women, and she also does manis and pedis if you're interested. And she's located in the hotel as well. And finally, in the bottom photo, 1917, we have one of the best chefs across San Antonio who operates with it along with his staff at 1917 restaurants. So same thing, they're open lunch and dinner, and we hope to run into you, whether it's lunch or dinner or even happy hour. Next slide, please. So what do we have underway? Quite a bit. We have surpassed $1.2 billion of investment across the 1,308 acres, and that is not counting the next slide, the more than 425 million in development that we have underway today. And so very soon, in the next couple of years, we'll be surpassing that $1.5 billion of investment across the 1,308 acres. I'll start off on the top left, Bakerly. They're a French-based food manufacturing bakery. They will be doing brioche hot dog and burgers. If you've seen some of their items in H-E-B, some may have the Bakerly label and some may have other labels on it, but they have all baked goods, pancakes, crepes, and then I mentioned the hot dogs and burger buns as well. Global Crossing on the top middle. That's a light industrial spec facility. We're grateful that Cambridge Development decided to do another project here on the Brooks campus. And so more than 800,000 of light industrial spec space. I did mention Texas Fame being in the hub and completely surrounded by the employers that will need those different upskilled professionals, to include skilled maintenance technicians. Bottom left, Solely Organic. We announced that a couple of months ago, and that's an indoor hydroponic farm that will be opening nearby Global Crossing. And the bottom right, Water's Edge 1 and Water's Edge 2, two Class A office buildings, the first of its kind on the southeast side. The closest that you'll find is those Class A office buildings at Port San Antonio on the southwest side. But these are two 100,000 square feet office facilities, and we're proud to be the first announced tenant for the very first building on the bottom floor. Next slide, please. Los Cielos, we had an announcement a couple of weeks ago that used to be the old officers' homes referred to as Heritage Oaks. And so we are redeveloping that into 490 single family for rental homes, which will include some of the current office buildings to include our office building, which is why we're moving to Water's Edge. So 490 for rent single family homes. Compass Rose Academy, I mentioned they're expanding and adding their elementary school here at the Brooks campus. La Picosa, that is the remainder of our southeast military land, completely surrounding the park on one side and the Embassy Suites hotel and spa on the other side. And so right off of Southeast Military, we do have additional chains coming our way. We have BJ's Brewhouse, Outback Steakhouse, Bubba's 33, Pluckers, among others. And we can't wait to announce what tenants are going to be inside what we call the town square. And so the more high density, and that's the image that you're looking at, or the rendering that you're looking at on your screen, the more high density, and we're looking forward to local high-end concepts going into that town square at La Picosa. Arboretum San Antonio, that used to be the old Republic Oaks golf course. I know I was really sad to see it close down right before COVID, but what better use, what better redevelopment from a former golf course and now the Arboretum San Antonio. And so our CEO does serve on the board of directors for Arboretum San Antonio. And as they were looking across San Antonio and what sites that they might be able to build this nonprofit, the Republic Oaks golf course is the one that they selected. So we're in negotiations, and that will be about 180 acres of green space. And so what is an arboretum? Essentially the flip of botanical garden. And so 80% of trees and about 20% of plants in landscape. And so another gem for the southeast side in San Antonio, and a gem to have so close to the Brooks campus proper. Caroline at Brooks, that is a Morgan Group development. That will be 373 apartments, and that will include live and work units as well. And so that is one Morgan Group development that already is moving along in development, and they have already started working on a second, which will be an additional 370 apartment units. Next slide, please. And so I mentioned quality of life, I mentioned community at the start of this presentation. I'll wrap up my portion again back to our mission and our vision. And so we're here to create jobs. How are we doing so? By creating a place where you can do all things in close proximity. How do we define success? By making sure that our 1,300 acres, which used to be an Air Force base, is a tool to uplift all of those neighborhoods in our surrounding community. Many of those are some of the most impoverished neighborhoods across San Antonio and across the country. And so how do we define success, and what metrics are we looking at? It's right on your screen, and making sure that, again, we're uplifting and bringing prosperity to those people in our surrounding neighborhoods. And so we recognize with more development comes more people, and we saw that from 2016 to 2020, population grew by more than 14%. But we're also happy that in that 5-year time frame, household income also increased by more than 28%. We see our students, more and more of them are graduating high school. So we're almost at 81% of the students in the region graduating high school. And we know that Brooks and the success that we're having is also impacting the surrounding neighborhoods, and we hope so, and it does in a positive way. And so by 2040, we expect for more than 17,000 jobs to be in the region, which is, as the city of San Antonio defines it, the San Antonio Regional Center, which is about 7,500 acres. And so that's how we've been moving the needle, and we look forward to our continued success in bringing regional prosperity to the surrounding neighborhoods. With that, I will pass it on to Leo.
Well, thank you, Connie, and everybody, thank you for joining us this morning. Really appreciate you all being in here and tuning in. I want to take a quick moment and recognize our board members as well, Ms. Pat Hassel representing District 3 and Ms. Geraldine representing District 5. So thank you again for your leadership. Thank you for believing in the vision for Brooks. And let me tell you, everybody, the vision is something that is supported not only by our board and our staff, but our staff from the landscaping team on up. We really understand that we're not just here to redevelop 1,300 acres that used to be a military base, but that we're here to develop it in a way that's going to create opportunity, regional prosperity. Connie talked about the regional center, the Brooks Regional Center. That 7,500 acres in this corner of San Antonio that is anchored by the Brooks campus of 1,300 acres. Well, imagine, if you will, 20 years down the road, if all we've done is redevelop the 1,300 acres that used to be Brooks, but we didn't do anything to help the families in the surrounding area really be able to prosper just like anyone else in San Antonio, then we wouldn't have done our job. Good news is we're well on our way to doing that job. And Connie referred to the incredible increase in household income in this area by well over 0.25%, the rising of high school graduation rates. Those are two great trends, two great stats over the last 6 years or so. And then the one that I'm really, really proud of is that we've cut the poverty rate in this region by 7% in that time frame. Imagine if we can do that in every part of San Antonio that has a high poverty rate. We hope we're building a model to do that right here in Southeast San Antonio. I think we're well on the way though. And Connie referred to our $1 billion in development already and nearly another $500,000 under construction. Am I talking before the slides are coming on there? Catch up, John. There we go. Thank you. This is the campus, and in the yellow is highlighted the 250 acres or so that we still have available for development. In the bottom right corner is our light industrial park. You can see there's about 4 parcels left there for major employers or a major development, at least 3, possibly 4. It's within that parcel that we have 1 million square feet of industrial space currently under development, and we look forward to seeing who the tenants in that building are going to be. The other parcels are scattered through the center of what will be eventually an office park environment here at Brooks, and then on to the left, upper hand corner to the most surrounding properties and parcels surrounding our Green Line Park are most of our residential and some of our educational facilities. What we're looking for to fill these smaller parcels scattered throughout to the campus is really the kinds of things that are going to promote engagement, people engaging with people. After all, what's the point of developing a mixed-use community if you don't have people throughout enjoying other people and engaging with each other and having a vibrant, active community? One where you want to raise a family, one where you don't mind going out and enjoying the community with your kiddos or your pets, and one where you know your neighbors, just like the good old days. We should be doing that in here, and we're proud to be developing that here at Brooks. So if you've got any ideas for bringing people to particular corners of Brooks, please, we're all ears. In particular, we'd love some restaurants and bars with rooftops. We'd love a dry cleaners. We'd love child daycare. Imagine that. If we're going to have 3,000 plus people, almost 4,000 people living on these 1,300 acres and having 5,000 plus people working here, we need a child care facility. And yes, we need a dry cleaners. And everybody keeps telling me, especially Connie and Anna, that they want restaurants and bars with rooftops overseeing the Green Line Park. We have those opportunities, and we can work with you to make those happen if you've developed anything like them in town or elsewhere, and even if you haven't, but you're interested. Okay, let's go to slide number 17 on the industrial. I referred to that in the previous slide as well. We've got Global Crossing, which is under development right now in 2 separate buildings. Almost 700,000 square feet is the one building. And then we've got a second one for 150,000 square feet that is under development. Both these buildings will be available within the year. And we are actively looking for tenants, light industrial tenants, logistics tenants, etc. We even have opportunities in certain parts of these buildings to include someone that needs high-end office space along with some back office space. So that's our opportunity there. And your neighbors would be Cuisine Solutions, Texas Fame, Nisei Plastics, Brooks Academy, Amazon, etc. So we're looking forward to seeing who the next folks are in our industrial park. Next slide is our office environment. And so Connie mentioned Water's Edge. Those are two 100,000 square foot Class A office buildings being built adjacent to some of our ponds, pretty close, actually across the street from the hospital. We are looking for tenants, mostly commercial tenants in one building. The second building, we're still working on our strategy there on whether to target commercial tenants or maybe fill it up as a medical office building. So if you know anybody who's looking for an opportunity like that in a Class A office building and a $1 million budget for the landscaping around the ponds and making that area look as beautiful as it's going to look next to the building, between the building and the ponds. So again, if you're looking for quality space and you want to be in an urban center, but not quite in downtown San Antonio, Brooks is the place to be. Okay. Finally, slide 19, actually there's one more after that, but slide 19 talks about our build-to-suit opportunities. Bottom line is we here at Brooks have very many different kinds of deal structures we can work on with you to make your business successful or your client's business successful. There is a reason we have a handful, if not more than a handful, of foreign direct investment in Brooks. That's foreign companies that have chosen Brooks in San Antonio, Texas, to establish their North American headquarters. Again, Cuisine Solutions and Bakerly, French companies, Oaken Process from the Czech Republic, Nisei Plastics from Japan. Who am I forgetting, Connie? I don't want to be forgetting anybody. So you can see we're probably among the most international 1,300 acres in San Antonio with the presence of those companies, but we were able to bring them in because we could develop a structure that worked for them, especially as their first operation in North America. But it worked for Amazon as well. And so they took a 250,000 square foot facility. Bottom line is our deal structure is one that involves our status as a tax-free entity and a tax-free parcel of land in San Antonio. As long as we keep title to the property remains off the tax rolls. I'm going to oversimplify it, and hopefully Sam can't be unmuted and interrupt me here because I always oversimplify it for our finance team and our contracts team, but it's really simple at the end of the day. We can lease you the land and we can lease back your improvements to you, even though you've financed them, hold title to them, and they're off the tax rolls, with a provision in the contract that ultimately gives you the opportunity to own the property. And it is you and your accountants or your client's accountants that can help determine when that's going to be, and it can be put into the contract at whatever period that's estimated to be. And so imagine the savings if you're completely off the tax rolls, including the school district. And let me tell you, the school district has supported this in the past because of what it's done in the surrounding value or surrounding area and the values there. So the city wins, the school district wins, the county wins, the citizens of San Antonio win, and the people who live around Brooks win at the end of the day. That's the Brooks story. Those are the opportunities that we have for you all. And I'll stop there, and I'd be glad to take any questions, Connie, or enter into a conversation where we need to. Thank you, everyone, for your time.
Now time for questions. So we're gonna give it some time for some questions to our audience. But first of all, whenever I meet with a prospect, one of the typical questions that I get, it is, what is the typical timeline from prospect to agreement to groundbreaking to construction? Connie, if you can expand a little bit on it.
So everything, can you hear me? So everything is in internal, which I think is one of the benefits. And so us operating and reporting to a board of directors does simplify the process and streamline the process quite a bit. And so essentially the process starts off with just reaching out. And on this call, it would be Connie Gonzalez and expressing your interest to do a deal and to bring a business to Brooks. And so after the internal team feel that it is something that the campus most certainly needs on a certain parcel of land, we're able to quickly execute a letter of intent internally. It's after that where we have to take it to the board of directors for the lease, the long-term lease, to get official approval. But we meet twice a month, every month, with the board. And so it's a pretty quick process if we're able to quickly negotiate thereafter. And so LOI internal, and we meet twice a month to get our board approval to be able to negotiate terms thereafter.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you.
Anna, may I add a little bit to that?
Absolutely.
Let me say, we also have the flexibility to enter into a contract or structure a contract so that you can bring your own developer and determine who your own general contractor is going to be. And that really gives you the opportunity to move forward fast. You go through your own process, you develop your own project. Then again, if you want us to do it for you, we can do it for you. We've got developers we can engage, and we've done it in the past multiple times. But a lot of companies here have really shortened the time frame to deliver a product by bringing their own development team into the deal structure with Brooks.
Thank you, Leo. And David Marquez asked about developers working with the city or Brooks staff for the permitting process. And so we are still within the city of San Antonio city limits. So you do have to go through the city's process, but we pride ourselves on the great relationships. And so when we sense a sense of urgency, you can count on the Brooks team to make sure and collaborate with the city staff and specifically the planning department. And we'll do our best to help streamline it and get that process done a little bit quicker.
Including CPS and SAWS, right?
Thank you, sir. I do want to, Anna, if I can interrupt you, Geraldine, our board of directors member, she did have her hand up for a little while. Geraldine, are we able to unmute her, John?
Yeah, no, thank you for that. I've got my question answered. Thank you.
Okay. Another question is you talk a little bit about what we have available, Leo, and the type of developments that we are wanting to attract. But what is Brooks' priorities for 2023 and in the next years?
Well, in a nutshell, it's the word engagement. And if you can take that from a broader scope to more specific examples, is we want the kinds of developments where people are going to do more than one thing. And so, you know, the typical mixed use project that we're looking for now in different parts of our campus is one that would involve some residential, perhaps second floor and above, and some retail opportunities on the ground floor, a coffee shop, a dry cleaners, a daycare, a juice shop, etc. Some folks are even begging for a wine bar or something like that. But it's that kind of mix of residential and retail lifestyle opportunity. We've got places within our residential section. We got places definitely within our future office park. And we got some sections over in our light industrial park that would lend themselves to that. That's what we're really looking for this year, Anna.
Thank you. Another question will be, I know that one of the things that excites you the most, and if you can expand a little bit on, again, going back to the mixed use, we have had conversation about sport complex and entertainment. So can you expand a little bit on that?
Well, again, it gets back to that keyword of engagement. What's going to bring people even more so onto the campus? How are we going to be able to serve the surrounding area and the rest of San Antonio? And we really believe and are going to be exploring the opportunity for a sport facility here on the Brooks campus that would truly serve the community. And, we don't know exactly what that is going to look like yet, but imagine at the very least a facility that can host major volleyball tournaments, basketball tournaments, cheerleading tournaments, taekwondo tournaments, et cetera, and do it in a way that also provides some small businesses in the area in the business of fitness, like we have Mixed Fit here at Brooks campus already, giving them the opportunity to locate in a facility like that, serving our community. So what would that do? It would bring a lot of people onto the Brooks campus, concentrated activities, probably mostly Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, but also available throughout the week. We have 3 hotels on the property that could serve the families for such tournaments. So that's where we're starting in terms of exploring items or routes for a sports facility. So if anybody's involved in that kind of development or is interested in that kind of development, we're all ears. Again, bringing people onto the Brooks campus, and in this case, doing it through sports, mostly youth sports and their families.
Thank you, Leo. We had 2 more questions. One from Sophia. What distinction area is available for light industrial projects? So, if, John, if we can go back to the yellow parcel map, so we can show where exactly those available properties are. So it's on the right bottom are those parcels for light industrial. So we have about 4 sites on the right side that are available for any light industrial projects. And then we got another one from David Marquez. Is Brooks working on increasing access to the surrounding highways? I know that with all this development, traffic is increasing. So Leo or Connie, if you can expand on the projects that we have completed in the past years and the most recent project that we are currently having conversations with the city.
Sure.
Connie, why don't you talk about the on-campus roads and egress, and I'll talk about the surrounding highway and other roads leading to Brooks.
Sure. So we've invested more than $130 million in our infrastructure to include our roads and some of our buildings as well. And so inheriting buildings and roads from the Air Force Base meant that those were not built to code, and those likely stopped being maintained after we were originally put on the BRAC list in 1995. And so we did inherit a lot of dilapidated infrastructure. And so since, again, we've invested more than $130 million. Most recently, we did complete about $23 million in along 3 different roads, thanks to the voters in the city of San Antonio's bond program. One of those roads did directly lead to us getting our newest international company, which is Bakerly out of France. And so when we say roads equal jobs, we mean it. And now what we're working on is our main east to west corridor. Just this past week, we submitted a $25 million grant to the US DOT for the RAISE grant. And so that's for Sydney Brooks, our main east to west corridor. It's about 1.4 miles. Half of that we did achieve $15 million in the city's bond program, which will be completed by 2027. And now we're working on the other half. And so fingers crossed, candles lit, whatever you all do, we'd appreciate your support in helping us achieve that $25 million grant. And so that's a little of what we've done as far as infrastructure on our physical campus. Again, recognizing that development leads to more people leads to more traffic, especially when we have a pretty vibrant transit center. And so we try to be proactive in adding and redeveloping our infrastructure, recognizing that, yes, we are going to add more traffic.
Especially at the intersection of Highway 37 and Military Drive. And to that end, I'm thankful that our friends at TxDOT have a project on the drawing boards, more than the drawing boards. They're designing the project. Literally, it is funded already by the legislature from the last session. And it's about a $10 million improvement to that intersection to help the traffic flow, if you will, and also adding at least one more, if not two, access points. One of them which would come directly onto the Brooks campus so that you could get on the Brooks campus without having to go through that interchange. That'll help not only Brooks, but the families and the households in the surrounding area. And so, you know, I'm very grateful. And I think one of our assets is seeing all those cars in the morning headed north from our neighbors to the south, and then seeing them all heading south in the evening. But we like to think that we're providing them with great opportunity here at Brooks if they want. And it's bringing people onto the campus and the area, and that's going to be increased traffic. The good news is if we all get together and get on the same sheet of music and talk to the city and to the county and to the state, TxDOT in particular, and work together as we apply for federal grants to improve infrastructure, we've already shown that we can do it and get the funding and get infrastructure improvements. It's something we need to keep doing. And if we're succeeding the way we are well into the future, we're going to have to keep working on it, is the bottom line.
Thank you. Another one, how do we work with nonprofits? Connie, if you can expand on the nonprofit and how we're supporting small businesses as well on your campus.
Sure. So we have a nonprofit arm. We call it Brooks Gives Back, and we essentially serve as a fundraising tool. We don't necessarily have programs. We host 2 signature events and pop-up events throughout the year to fundraise, and specifically from those businesses and organizations on and around the Brooks campus. Again, making sure that those that we're attracting are also giving back to the community that they're in. And so we serve as a fundraising tool, and we have for the past 4 years given out annual gifts, if you will. This past year, we gave out $110,000 to 5 area nonprofits, 2 of which have long-term 3-year commitments, so that they can count on that funding and plan a little bit more strategically on how they're going to impact the youth, the families, and the seniors that reside in the Brooks region. And so the 5 that we gave back this past year were Any Baby Can, Boys and Girls Clubs of San Antonio, Presa Community Center, San Antonio Lighthouse for the Blind, and Ride Connect Texas. The board of directors and David Marquez is the chair of Brooks Gives Back. The board of directors this past year did narrow down our potential partners and recipients to 8 nonprofits. And so this year we are limiting applications to those 8 nonprofits. And so by early fall, we should have an announcement on where our Brooks Gives Back funding is going this year.
Thank you. Thank you. We didn't really mention about our design and development standards, and one of the questions that we have from the audience is that if utilities are available on sites for new projects, and I believe it goes tight with the design and development standards, that we don't live by the status quo as well. So if Connie or Leo can expand on the process of developing a site.
Our Architectural Control Committee has existed from the get-go, and we developed a set of standards that really were modeled for us in the development of Miller in Austin, Texas, the former airport that has been redeveloped into that thriving community just east of the highway, just north of downtown San Antonio. That, in a nutshell, if you looked at that community, that sets the standards for our development process here at Brooks. One of the key attributes of our development process that I think is important for me to highlight here is that our development standards are more encouraging than demanding. Our Architectural Control Committee is more encouraging than demanding. Now, somebody might debate whether we're being encouraging or demanding, but you know, we've been pretty successful in working even in our light industrial park. You know, important to us is low impact development, greenery, trees, landscaping, streets that are pedestrian friendly, etc. So we will work with the developer to bring those kinds of attributes, including sustainability types of attributes to it, the use of solar power, for example. And so trust me, if we want it, and you're able to work with us but need a little help, we'll figure out how to make it happen along with you. Our development standards are not so rigid that we can't be flexible in working with you. Right, Connie?
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, again,
All good, all good.
There's one other area of development that I didn't mention that really is key here at Brooks over the next 5 years. And that is the development of medical office opportunities, continuing to serve the community. But, Mission Charles Baptist Hospital has done an incredible job of serving our community in this corner of San Antonio. As our population grows, as the need for those services continues to grow, it's already pretty overwhelming, if you ask me. So the opportunity on the property that surrounds the hospital for other medical services that complement the services at the hospital would be a great opportunity for development as well. And so we have a couple of interested parties that are visiting with us already, but there's plenty of opportunity there. So if that's an area that you have an interest in, please contact Ana and let's sit down and talk.
awesome. Well, thank you all for participating. I see that our attendees list grew. We have a number of tenants. I mentioned our board members, and we have a number of partners also on the call, current partners and potential partners. And so I think we can all agree that Brooks is only as strong as our various partners. And that is one of the main reasons why we've been successful. And so we hope with this webinar that we have achieved additional partners. And if you have any additional questions, I hope if you have not been to the campus, even within the last 3 months, that you come and take a look, because even if we pass and we're here daily, but week by week, a lot of our projects look very different. And so definitely after 3 months, our 1,308 acres looks dramatically different and has transformed. And so we hope that you all contact Ana if you're interested in working with the Brooks team, if you're interested in bringing a business or some sort of organization to the campus, or if you're just interested in learning more. And then maybe even if you just want to come to La Gloria and have a margarita, I think me and Ana would be open to that as well. And so thank you all so much for joining us today. We appreciate y'all being interested and keeping up with all of the tremendous development that's going on the Brooks campus. We hope to see you and hear from you all soon. If we did not get to any of your questions, by all means, feel free to contact myself, Ana, or Leon. We'd be happy to circle around with you. Thank you all so much. We appreciate y'all. Have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.